myths to results. Join Audit and Miriam every Thursday. This is Double Degraded.
Welcome to Double Degraded with Audit LA and Miriam. Double the truth, double the trouble. Welcome to Double Degraded with Audit LA and Miriam. Your weekly report, the story stated, shining a light.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay, that's what
Okay.
it was. Okay, you had a stream playing in the background. Welcome, everyone. We have never claimed to be professionals, but welcome to Double Degraded, episode 3, where we are broadcasting anti-Scientology activism and expose the unlawful activities that Scientology does on everyday basis. I just wanted to say to start with that we have quite a packed schedule today due to our guests that we have on. So we're not going to be bringing that many comments on the screen. If you have any questions, please write capital question in front of your question, and then my lovely moderators will pick them up from the chat and we can have a look at them around midway and in the end of the stream. How are you, Audit?
I'm doing great. And how are you doing?
I'm
You
doing good. Yeah.
And I want to say hi to everyone and welcome. And I'm really excited about today's show. I've been following Jason's work since Mona, who's also going to be on, told us about it. It's going on over a year now. And I'm really excited about hearing more from him. I learn something every time I listen to him. So I'm excited.
Yes, me too. And I also wanted to preface this from my side that I was contacted by this person, I think first time 2 years ago when I had a very tiny channel. I still have a small channel, but it was even smaller. And I think the information he has is very interesting. I just thought it was a little bit of a too big bite for me to swallow. So I am very glad that we can have now together independent researcher Jason Polychron as the first guest on our podcast. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, Jason. Yes, you're the first guest. Hi. Thank you for coming. I'm excited.
Hey, thanks for having me. Absolutely, 100%.
Yes. So I just wanted to give a little bit of preface of where we are starting at. Our audience is quite educated when it comes to Scientology's abuses, Scientology's history, and so forth. So what we're going to talk about today, we are basically starting from the events that led to Scientology's tax-exempt status and the discoveries you have made related to that, and how it is actually quite a problematic for them to have the tax-exempt status at the moment. So you can basically just go ahead and present your case and let me know if you want me to present one of the slides, if there's a specific one that you want me to put on the screen.
Sure. Okay, great. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Polychron. Quick background about myself. I was in the U.S. Navy. I currently am in the U.S. Navy Reserves. I was in Naval Intelligence. I have my master's degree from the National Intelligence University. But I want to make clear that neither the U.S. Navy nor the intelligence community in any way supports or endorses what I'm saying. I'm here on my own time, on my own effort, but I just wanted to give some credentials to the audience. And what I wanted to talk about, let's see, we'll break it up into 3 parts, talking about Scientology's tax exemption. We'll talk about what didn't happen, then we'll do a transition, and then we'll talk about what did happen. I should also mention that very recently, about maybe 4 days ago, I did an interview very similar to this one with Aaron Smith-Levin. It's on his YouTube channel, Growing Up in Scientology, under Live. So if you want to go and look at that, you can. Okay, so if you ask pretty much anybody, how did Scientology get its tax exemption? The going narrative is that Scientology filed 2,400 lawsuits against the IRS from 1986 to 1993, and that these lawsuits just overwhelmed the IRS. And after this barrage of lawsuits, the IRS just threw up its hands and said, "Okay, we give up. We can't take this anymore. We'll give you tax exemption." Okay, well, my research has concluded that that narrative is false, and provably so. So what I would offer the audience is you can quickly disprove this narrative with a few basic Google searches. And what I recommend doing is first start off by Googling how many cases were docketed in the US tax court in 1986. And the quick little AI blurb that'll come up, and sometimes you have to hit the search button more than once to get that AI blurb to come up, but it'll tell you that there were 83,000 lawsuits pending in the US tax court against the IRS in 1986, okay? Then if you search how many cases were docketed in the US tax court in 1991, it drops down to about 50,000 that were docketed. And my point in saying that is the exact time period where Scientology started and ramped up its lawsuit war. The IRS's caseload was in fact diminishing by tens of thousands of lawsuits, about 30,000, okay? And we're being told that at the same time, Scientology, which they did, they piled on 2,400 lawsuits, but we're being told that that exhausted the IRS. And I would say that no, that's just numerically impossible. 2,400 lawsuits is not a litigation nightmare for the IRS. 2,400 lawsuits did not exhaust the IRS's budget. Because if you also just search, how many cases are docketed in the US tax court each year, it's about 20 to 30,000. So no, 2,400 lawsuits over a 7-year period, not a litigation nightmare. And I know that this narrative is very common, but I just don't think anybody ever fact checked it. I think, the lawsuit war did happen. The tax exemption did happen. David Miscavige told everybody that these two phenomenon were connected, and absent any other evidence, people just accepted it. But again, it cannot be true. So maybe I should pause there and get some feedback from Audit or Mirjam or the audience. Does anybody want to hear more about what didn't happen?
Oh, well, I don't know what happened to Audit there, but I could just see one comment here from Kelly saying that
Always talk
there
about
was-
the focus.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
there was talk
That's
about Scientology also having private lawsuits against the IRS employees. Was that also related to this case?
I mean, yes, Scientology filed lawsuits against individual IRS agents, but, well, first of all, even if you do sue an IRS agent, that's it's not like, if you're an employee of the IRS and you're getting sued, you can't just go to the agency and say, will you just please give these people what they want so they stop suing me? It just, it doesn't work that way. Additionally, and I mentioned this with Aaron, Leah Remini on her television show, Scientology in the Aftermath, season 3, episode 10, at the 9-minute and 28-second mark, reads a memo about Scientology or about IRS personnel getting harassed. And they flashed the memo up on the screen. I screen captured it and downloaded it. And Leah Remini, who I respect greatly, by the way, I do, but she read a portion of the memo. She didn't read all of it. And the last portion that she didn't read is the most important. And in the last portion, in this memo, the IRS was telling its employees, if you're being stalked, harassed, intimidated by the Church of Scientology, to contact a investigator with the IRS so that the IRS could go after Scientology for what it was doing. But I mean, yes, the question was, did they sue individual IRS agents? Yes. But so what? Again, It's not like an IRS agent can go up to the commissioner and be like, just give these people what they want. There are laws. This is a U.S. government agency. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that answers people's questions.
Yeah, of course not. And it would have to be then some, very high up, significant personnel in IRS for that to have, to be considered having any kind of impact as well.
It sounds like David Miscavige is, the big fish tail, that's like we call it the big fish and all this stuff. So it sounds like all this generates from him, because that's all I've ever heard, that same narrative. And so, yeah, it makes him seem like an formidable foe. And so I was fascinated to hear, and even relieved to hear that that's not the case. So I'll shut up because I want to hear more. It's very interesting, everyone.
Please don't shut up, because I want questions and I want pushback, because, I was never in Scientology. I don't know anybody that was in Scientology. And now I'm going out there and I'm saying, look, not for nothing, everybody, but everybody's wrong. And, it's a pretty bold thing for me to say. And I want that pushback. I want to be challenged and I want to be tested. So, yeah. But yes, you were saying that this narrative that David Miscavige beat up the IRS, that for sure puts a big boost in his standing in Scientology. In fact, his father, Ronald Miscavige, gave an interview. I forget with who it was. It could have been Joe Rogan. It could have been Danny Jones, something like that. But Ronald Miscavige said, within Scientology, David Miscavige is the man, because he's the one who got the tax exemption, which was something that Hubbard was trying to do between 67 and his death in 86, and he couldn't get it. This is the big thing with David Miscavige. He achieved something that L. Ron Hubbard couldn't. So that boosts his standing within Scientology tremendously. But at the same time, it's not like David Miscavige can have people knowing the truth of why the IRS actually granted the exemption, which we're going to get into. But Audit, you were saying that this narrative boosts David Miscavige's standing, which is absolutely true.
Yeah, because even the city, like they're suing the city and all their lawsuits, it makes it seem like they're this big, scary litigant for any government, that they're better off just, giving what they want. So I love that we're clearing the air and getting this truth out. And I hope LA City will even hear this. Actually, I would like to send these links to them to say, you don't have to consider them such a big, scary, and formidable foe, because that was just something that they made up. But in this town, they have believed it, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and Audit, I know from especially your live streams, you're plugged into the city council. You go down to the council all the time. We're going to get into this, but there is a big crack in Scientology's armor, and right, it's the first cardinal rule of warfare. You find out where your enemy's weak, and that's where you hit them. And I really think that that's what I'm going to be relaying to you and to the audience. And if you want to relay this to law enforcement, if you want to relay it to, even city officials that maybe can help to get the right people being federal law enforcement, DOJ, Treasury, FBI, aware of what Scientology did and how they got their tax exemption and how provably unlawful it is, that'd be great.
Definitely want to do that. But we need to, we're still digesting it. It's such a deep, and it's such a wild, I guess, rabbit hole. And it's so much information, and it's a lot to digest. So I'm glad you're on here. I'm glad you're doing this podcast. I hope you come on again and just do more. So the more we understand it and digest it and can speak it out intelligently, that's going to go a long way in our advocacy. So thank you. And then, I'd love to hear the next part, but we want to give you free reign to tell us everything.
If we're ready to move on, you guys ready to move on to the next part? Sure.
Yes,
sir. Yes, because we have heard the other story, I think, so many times now that it's great to have you on.
Scientology did not bully the IRS. Just saying it didn't. Okay. So in the transition, I said this with Aaron Smith-Levin, I've run into two people along the way who also highly question, if not dismiss, the lawsuit war narrative. The first person is Jeffrey Augustine. I spoke with him on the phone, I think in 2023. And I just went, I just came out with it right away. I said, look, I don't believe this narrative. And he came right back and he said, I don't believe this either. I never have. I don't want to put words in Jeffrey Augustine's mouth. He's got his email listed on his website, Scientology Money Project. If people want to know exactly what he thinks, by all means, email him. But yeah, simply put, Jeffrey Augustine said this doesn't make sense, and I don't believe it, never have. The other person that I spoke to is Claire Headley, and I said the same thing, don't believe the narrative. And Claire Headley came back and she said, well, it was David Miscavige who connected the lawsuit, who said that the lawsuit war motivated the tax exemption. So she at least sees that dynamic, that this is all just coming from Miscavige, that the two are connected. So her mind is open. Yeah, a couple of other things to quickly go through. There is a rumor out there that there is a memo that Scientology obtained from the IRS through a FOIA request during their lawsuit war, and that this memo was an IRS memo saying that that Scientology was exhausting the IRS's financial resources. I don't believe this memo exists. I've looked high and low for it. I've looked on Jeffrey Augustine's website, and if you know that website, he's got tons of information on Scientology, big and small, and it's not there. So I don't think this memo exists. I think I know where the rumor came from. It came from the Truth Rundown series, right? It was in 3 parts. Part number 1, the St. Petersburg Times wrote that Scientology said that they obtained this memo through a FOIA request. St. Petersburg Times never said that they had the memo. So I think the memo is a ghost. Okay, so there's a transition. Now, do you guys want to get into what happened?
Yes.
Yes, please.
All right. So raise your hand, stop me if you need explanation. Okay, fine. So 1986, L. Ron Hubbard dies. Simply put, David Miscavige takes over. According to Marty Rathbun, Scientology was facing $1 billion tax bill. Now, let me pause there and say, as everybody knows, Marty Rathbun is just not trustworthy, and anything that man has ever said in his entire life, I would not put any stock in. But Rathbun did say that they were facing $1 billion tax bill that they could not afford to pay, and if the IRS enforced the tax bill, Scientology would have gone defunct sometime in the mid-'80s. And that there is evidence to support that, because when Miscavige took over, he started the lawsuit war. So, okay, maybe there was this insurmountable tax bill. So Miscavige orders the lawsuit war. 2,400 lawsuits in total get filed. That's according to Tony Ortega. And one of those lawsuits was called Hernandez v. Commissioner. Okay. And Hernandez was a Scientologist, and he fought his lawsuit all the way to the Supreme Court. And it was heard the 28th of November, 1988, and the ruling was June 5th, 1989. And just real quick, which is I did not mention in the Smith-Levin interview, is that actually when the Supreme Court releases its most controversial or most impactful rulings, they do it in June. So if the audience at home would just like to Google, does the Supreme Court release its most important rulings in June, you'll see a quick little AI blurb that says yes. So you can fact check me on that. So the Hernandez ruling, June 5th, that's a clear indicator that this was an important ruling. So what was the ruling? Okay, so Hernandez paid money for courses in auditing, and he tried to deduct these payments from his taxes. And the IRS said no. He said you can't deduct them because they're quid pro quo transactions. Okay, and quid pro quo transactions with tax-exempt organizations and religions are not tax deductible. Let me pause there and say 2 things. First, in the comment section under the interview I did with Aaron, Some people accurately pointed out that the AI blurb is not to be trusted. Valid point. I verified all of this information with credible sources, and it turns out this time around the AI blurbs are right, but fair point. Now, the other is that people were asking me to define the difference between quid pro quo transactions and actual charitable deductions. Okay, quid pro quo transaction simply means this for that. So if I sell you a car and you give me $25,000, that's a quid pro quo transaction. I got your money, you got the car. Or a quid pro quo transaction could be, I don't know, if you clean my house, I'll mow your lawn. Okay. So a donation is if you just give money to a charity. You know, here's $100, hope it helps, and you get nothing in return. So I'll give you a really good example. The United Way. You write a check to the United Way for $100. That's a tax exempt organization. It's a 501c3 tax exempt organization. So you can deduct that $100 from your taxes because you didn't get anything for it. But let's say you go to the Goodwill, right? Which is also a tax exempt organization, but you give them $100 and they give you clothes. That's a quid pro quo transaction, not a donation, not tax deductible. Okay, so the Supreme Court ruled in Hernandez that the IRS was right, that granting or that Hernandez could not deduct his payments for courses in auditing because they were quid pro quo transactions. He paid Scientology money, and in exchange, he got these courses in auditing. Okay, so the Hernandez ruling was a victory for the IRS. Except it wasn't. The Hernandez ruling was a disaster for the IRS. Why? Because the IRS allows the quid pro quo transactions of other religions to be deducted. In particular, the LDS Mormon religion, which has tithing in the LDS, or it's called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I don't mean to be rude to anybody. I'm just saying LDS because it's easier. In that religion, if you want to enter the temple, you must pay your tithing. And in the temple, that's where they get baptisms, weddings, which they call sealings, like two people are sealed together. And you have to pay your tithing to get in and get those services. And the IRS is allowing those to be deducted. And the IRS isn't supposed to be doing that. And it was Justice O'Connor in the Hernandez ruling that itemized Mormon tithing or LDS tithing as a quid pro quo transaction. Another religion that has quid pro quo transactions is about 95% of synagogues. They have what are called temple dues. Same thing. They are mandatory. If you pay your dues, you can get into the temple. If you don't pay, you can't. Now, I did an interview with John Kiriakou, and I got some pushback in the comments saying that a lot of temples, if a member is having financial problems, they can request to have their temple dues reduced or suspended until they get back up on their feet financially. Well, all right, but those aren't donations. That's a payment schedule, and the IRS is allowing temple dues to be deducted. Now, let me just say something that's definitely not in the interview with Aaron Smith-Levitt. In her dissent, Justice O'Connor talks about Jewish, she calls them high holy day tickets. And she itemizes those as quid pro quo transactions that the IRS is allowing to be deducted, even though they're quid pro quo transactions. I'm going to actually go on a limb here, and I'm going to second guess a Supreme Court justice. And I'm going to say that actually temple dues are not tax deductible because they're identical to Mormon or LDS tithing. I just think, for some reason, that Justice O'Connor didn't know about Jewish temple dues, but they're identical. So I'm saying that they're not deductible because they're quid pro quo transactions. And then the other major religion that's mentioned in the Hernandez ruling is the Catholic religion, which has something called mass stipends, which are money that's paid to a priest so that they say a special mass. Okay, that's you're giving money and you're getting something in return. That's a quid pro quo transaction. The IRS is allowing this to be deducted, even though the law says no. And after the Hernandez ruling, the Supreme Court said no. All right. So I don't know. I feel like I've talked a lot. Do I need to pause? You guys want to ask questions? Maybe the audience wants to ask questions.
I don't know. I don't really have questions at this moment, but I hope that the audience is following what we're getting at. I think they were.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm just drinking it all in. I'm in, I love hearing these explanations, and thank you for adding just the different dynamics even between what the justices are saying, that they're kind of in disagreement with stuff. It's interesting. And I would just like to have you continue, unless the audience, our mods, would know if they have any questions.
Okay.
But I'm following.
I think we can take the questions maybe on the halftime and just let you continue on at this point.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll keep going. So if you want, and you think your audience would appreciate, if you want to bring up the Hernandez ruling, I can, I'll tell your audience how to do it. You can just go to Google and type in Hernandez v. Commissioner, Library of Congress, and it's the first link that comes up. It's also the first link on my website, but the one on my website's highlighted. I highlighted what I thought was important. Maybe your audience wants to bring up their own fresh copy right off the Library of Congress website. Anyway, so you can bring up, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. For that, I would like my moderators to put your website up. Can you just tell me what your website address is?
It's just jasonpolychron.com. And I will tell people that I've got very high security protocols on my website. So if you use a VPN, which I do, the VPN it'll deny you access. They only want people visiting my website in true name. Yeah. Right. So, okay. So yeah, if the audience wants to go to the Hernandez ruling, you can bring it up and then just do Control F, and you can type in the word Mormon, and you'll see that it appears 5 times in the ruling. Then you can do Control F, the word Jew. It appears 5 times in the ruling. Control F, the word Catholic. Yep, there I am. The word Catholic appears 4 times in the ruling, so you can quickly see just off of that, this ruling affected other religions. Okay, so Justice O'Connor's dissent, which is page 704 to page 713 of the Hernandez ruling, is the most important part of the ruling, because she was pointing out that the IRS is allowing these other quid pro quo transactions, but they're denying Scientology's quid pro quo transactions. And Justice O'Connor called this administrative inconsistency. Okay. Again, the audience, if you want, when you got the Hernandez ruling up, just do Control F and type in administrative inconsistency, and you'll see that I believe it appears 2 times, all in Justice O'Connor's dissent. Okay. So with that ruling, with that dissent, Scientology, and really it was Scientology's lawyers, realized that the IRS had kind of a problem on their hands. They were denying the deductibility of these other religions' tax exemption. So, 1989, there was a man named Garrison who was a Scientologist, and he filed a lawsuit called Garrison v. Commissioner. And in that lawsuit, he argued administrative inconsistency against the IRS, which was Justice O'Connor's argument. It was Justice O'Connor's warning. And this time around, Garrison, or Scientology, had a point, right? Scientology is a very eccentric organization and make bold and irrational claims, but actually the administrative inconsistency claim was valid because, of course, it's really Justice O'Connor's claim. Okay. So then also in 1990, another lawsuit was filed called Powell v. USA. All of this is on my website. And the Powell case was filed in the 11th Circuit, which is down in Florida. The Garrison case was filed in Washington, D.C. and the Powell case argued administrative inconsistency. Now, Mirjam, I sent you, I know I sent you the Powell case. You can flash it on the screen if you'd like.
Yes, just a moment. I will find it.
And while she's doing that, Jason, can I jump in and ask you a question?
Of course.
Or something okay. So because this is interesting, the Garrison case, you're saying that they're pushing back on the IRS, saying administrative inconsistency. But at the time of Hernandez, if I'm not mistaken, Scientology was not, they were a 501c3, but not a religion. Would that have any bearing on it?
No. First of all, that's a good question. First of all, there's a misunderstanding out there that religions get tax exemption. Not necessarily true. If a religion complies with 501c3, they get tax exemption. But if a religion doesn't comply with 501c3, it doesn't get the exemption. But it's a religion either way. And Scientology was not 501c3 recognized, not until October the 1st, 1993. Well, let me correct myself. Scientology was granted tax exemption in 1957, right? And then Scientology violated the annulment clause of 501c3 in 1967, so the tax exemption was taken away. So they didn't have it from 67 until October the 1st, 1993, when it was reinstated. Does that clarify your question?
Kind of, but what's I want to know what the annulment clause is, but okay, so they're saying they're a religion. So when it comes to the courts and everything, they're saying they're a religion. So I guess what I'm saying is that they were saying administrative inconsistencies, but we know the LDS is an established religion, shows Judaism, and so Scientology is not an established religion, excuse me, worldwide. It's almost like a self-proclaimed religion that, to my opinion, that got some kind of status later. So that, I guess that's where I'm a little bit confused, is how they're pushing, saying, hey, we're a religion. And
right,
I think you're clearing that up.
I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to start your own religion. Okay, it's First Amendment, go right ahead. You can call yourself whatever you want, minister, priest, whatever. You can put a cross on top of your house. You can put a sign out front that says, you know, the Church of Audit LA. You can hold religious services in your house or maybe some building that you acquire, and you're a religion. Fine. Go right ahead. Nothing's stopping you. It's like being a journalist. What does it take to become a journalist? All you have to do is say you are, right? This is like, right, you know, right now what we're doing is protected by the First Amendment. This is freedom of the press. We're engaged in journalism, but it's not like we have a license or anything, right? We didn't go to school for this, but we're protected. Okay, fine. So let's say you want to start the Church of Audit LA. Great. But then you want tax exemption. Now there are rules. And those rules are found in 501c3 because religions fall under 501c3. So do other organizations like animal welfare groups, schools, and then there's because there's 501c1 all the way to 501c29. Try scrolling all the way to the bottom, please. But anyway, so if you want tax exemption, you have to fill out the paperwork, send it into the IRS, and in theory, the IRS has to verify that you comply with 501c3 to be a tax exempt religion. Okay, so Scientology has, you know, it can call itself a religion. Fine, you're a religion. What Scientology, in my sincere opinion, has never done is comply with 501c3. It's never qualified for tax exemption because one of the standards in 501c3, which is posted on my website, is something called well-established public policy, which is like a blanket term. It says, if you want 501c3 tax exemption, you cannot violate well-established public policy. And there's no clear definition of what that is. But I'll give you a really good example about an organization that had its tax exemption rescinded because it was violating well-established public policy. Okay, you ever heard of Bob Jones University in South Carolina?
Yes.
Okay, it's a Bible
I'm not
college.
familiar with that one.
Yeah. Well, anyway, throughout the 1950s and the 1960s, the South of the United States was desegregating, right? You know, the civil rights movement, and there was racial segregation, but they were getting rid of it. Well, Bob Jones University said, we will not desegregate, period. Okay. So in 1970, the IRS said, okay, you're violating well-established public policy by not desegregating. And in 1970, the IRS took away Bob Jones University's tax exemption. And then they finally got it back in 2017. So schools are 501c3 tax exempt. But this particular school was violating a certain aspect of 501c3, so they lost their exemption. I'm sorry, I don't know where I have a tendency to go off on these tangents. Does that, I don't even know where
It does. Well, I mean, this is actually an interesting area that you're talking about. So when we get to the part about what to do now or what to do next, I'm interested in hearing more about the public policy part. Like if we can figure out how, and it won't be hard, I'm sure, how Scientology is probably constantly and consistently going against public policy, including now, because I hear in the Leah Remini case that they are trying to say that fair game, which should be considered criminal, is part of their religion, and that has to go against public policy. So
Well,
I am interested in that nugget right there about the public policy part.
well, it's funny you should mention that audit, because on my website, there is a lawsuit, a 1984 lawsuit called Church of Scientology of California v. Commissioner. Now, mind you, this was in 1984, so this is well before the tax exemption. And on page 10 of 54 of the lawsuit, the IRS writes that Scientology does not qualify for tax exemption because they violate well-established public policy. And the IRS itemizes 10 reasons why Scientology violates well-established public policy. Some of those reasons include the disconnection policy, the fair game policy. They talk about brainwashing through through auditing. They talk about a complete, I think their words were, a complete breakdown of moral judgment. So, just for what it's worth, the IRS has already, in their own memo, acknowledged that that Scientology is engaged in violating well-established public policy, and they're talking about the exact abuses that people are reporting throughout their entire involvement in Scientology. Again, I lost the plot. What was?
No, it's exactly what I'm talking about, because this is the stuff that gets gets me going, is because you can lose your 501c3 if you violate public policy. So I would like to hear, I mean, that case, I may have to ask if I could get a copy of that. I would like to see that and read that.
All on my website. So
okay.
If people want, yeah, and maybe I'll just talk a little bit further about my website real quick. I know we've kind of gone off on a pretty big tangent here, ladies and gentlemen, but
no, this is interesting stuff. I appreciate this info.
Absolutely.
Sure. So on my website, which I've linked to my YouTube channel, I have like two 2-hour videos. One's called the interview video, where I just sit down and go through everything. And at this point, the audience you probably can skip that one, because what I'm talking about with you is what's in the interview video. You may want to watch it anyway. Then there's something called the presentation of evidence video, which is 2 hours long, where I go through 47 sources that are posted on my website. Now, as it turns out, there are now 51 sources posted on my website, because I found 4 after I had the videos made, and they're just on there. But they're good, but they're not critical. So yeah, so if people are interested in really listening and fact checking me, because that's the big thing. I would never, ever ask anybody to just believe what I'm saying. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I want people to fact check me, and I want people to learn for themselves. You know, I will say, to get through my research is going to take 2 to 3 days. It's not going to be easy. It really isn't, but it's going to be worth it. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. Yeah.
And I know we were going through the Powell. I don't know if you finished up with the Powell, but I'm
No.
very interested too after that one, the Sklar, because I was reading that yesterday. I was trying to go through, everything was, it's a lot to digest, but that's another interesting one. So what would just let you go on with how about I guess the cases that you brought up and
Yeah. Okay. So 89 Garrison v. Commissioner, 1990 Powell v. USA. Now I mentioned, the lead attorney on the Garrison case was Monique Yingling, right? Now everybody knows that name, and everyone knows that if David Miscavige sets Monique Yingling after something, it's important to him, right? Yeah, I'll leave it at that. People know who she is. So she was the primary attorney, the lead attorney. Her name is on the front page of the Garrison lawsuit. The other case, Powell v. USA, was being heard in the 11th Circuit down in Florida. And let's see, how shall I explain this? So at the Turning Point event, October the 8th, 1993, David Miscavige announces the tax exemption, and he talks about how he and Marty Rathbun were in Washington, D.C. to be personally present for one hearing in one of the 2,400 lawsuits, right? And that clearly indicates that whatever lawsuit he's talking about had to have been particularly important to their effort to get tax exemption. And the Garrison case was being heard in Washington, D.C. So I pulled the docket in the Garrison case, and there was activity in that lawsuit in October of 1991. And I think that's the one that he's talking about. And I think that's why he was in D.C. He was there for the Garrison case, because that's how Scientology was on its way to proving the administrative inconsistency that Justice O'Connor warned about on the IRS. And I probably should have said this earlier. If Scientology proved that administrative inconsistency on the IRS, then the courts would have ordered the IRS to get in compliance with the Hernandez ruling, which means that the IRS would have to deny the deductibility of LDS Mormon tithing, Jewish temple dues, Catholic mass stipends, and some other religions have quid pro quo transactions that the IRS is allowing to be deducted. There's something called pew rents that Protestant churches do, which is fine. I mean, okay. Anyway, let me pause there. Any questions so far?
this is a real quick one. It might be like kind of silly, but like nowadays, I know a lot of churches have bookstores and they sell coffee and books. And it kind of reminds me of Scientology because they sell books, Dianetics. Does that fit into this quid pro quo? Can you tax deduct you're buying a book at at a Christian church these days?
No. I mean, legally, no. If you purchase any kind of a book, any book from a tax exempt religion, you cannot deduct that lawfully as a charitable donation, because it's not a donation, it's a payment.
But they do for Dianetics, right? Like, because it seems like they're saying they're getting away with it by saying you're not buying the book, you're giving a donation, and then you're getting the book. So it feels like they're kind of walking on that fine line there with all the Dianetics books,
Yeah,
and you're seeing them pop up everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that in the Gibney documentary, he said that all of L. Ron Hubbard's books, their sales are tax-free. And I thought about testing that theory by going to the Church of Scientology in Washington, D.C., because I live in Alexandria, Virginia, and purchasing the books and seeing if they charged me tax for them. But I kind of chickened out. Sorry, I don't want to really go into those places. And I would have to pay in cash, and it would have looked really funny. And I feel, and what's more is that I feel bad for the people that work in these orgs. I consider them victims of Scientology as well. It's really only the people at the very top, Miscavige and others, who are the bad guys. The lower ranking guys, they think that they're in something good. But anyway,
We agree with you.
yeah. But anyway, I did go to what's it called? Barnes and Noble. And I asked if they had Bibles and Torahs and Qurans for sale, and they said yes. And I said, do you charge sales tax on these books? And they said, yes, we do. So I don't know about Dianetics being tax-free or not. I just don't know. I mean, if somebody wants to run an undercover mission, just go into a Scientology org and very politely, just be like, oh, I was hoping to buy some books, and pay in cash, and see if there's any sales tax on the receipt.
We actually, someone pointed out, we have a friend who has just bought the whole new children's book series that was published, so we can check with her and see what the invoices. She ordered them online, but should be the same nevertheless.
Yeah, it's just that buying religious books, it's a quid pro quo transaction. It's not supposed to be deductible. And then we're gonna we can go as far as you want. Maybe we'll stick with this for now, because there are other steps to this whole business of tax deductibility and the obligation to pay income tax, even if you're a tax exempt organization. But maybe that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah. Can we have you come back on and do that?
I'm sorry?
Sorry. Yeah. I was saying we would love to have you come back on and maybe delve into other aspects and areas of that, because I'm finding it fascinating, because we're all talking about, remove the tax exempt status, but then the question becomes how. And so that's why I would love to have that discussion for another day. But today we'll stick with, so we know what your work is, and then we can come back maybe and discuss that.
And I will have a hard stop in about 70 minutes. So I don't know if we can.
All right, let me wrap up why. Let me just keep going on those two lawsuits. Let's close the loop at least on that. Okay, I'll try and stop going off on these stupid tangents. Sorry, everybody.
It's been interesting.
Yeah, you're passionate, just like we are. So it's absolutely interesting.
Oh yeah,
information.
Okay, so fine. The Garrison case and the Powell case are chugging through the courts, and if Scientology proves the administrative inconsistency on the IRS, the courts are going to order the IRS to get in compliance with the Hernandez ruling. Fine. David Miscavige is in D.C. Okay, as it turns out, there was a favorable ruling in the Powell case, and that's what's at the very bottom of that case. And if you want to bring it up, I guess now we can finally get to that. Even no more tangents.
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah. So. You see the green? No, all the way to the bottom. Yep. Do you see the green in the? Nope, all the way to the bottom.
You want to go to the last slide?
Yeah, there we go. The green and the blue. Can anybody read that out loud? It's a little bit small for me.
Let me find it here. I have the document on a separate screen here because I cannot read it either. It's way too small for me. So just one moment. So you said the green.
The green, yeah, and then the blue.
Okay, one moment here. Okay, there is no question that Powell's claim for administrative inconsistency is a valid claim upon which relief can be granted.
There you go.
Yes.
And then read the blue, please.
Yes. Thus, for the foregoing reasons, we vacate the district court's order of dismissal of Powell's complaint and remand this case to the district court for further proceedings consistent with his opinion.
There you go. See, Powell got that favorable ruling. Powell was on his way to proving the administrative inconsistency on the IRS. Okay. Now, do me a favor and scroll all the way to the top of the Powell case and just read off the date of the Powell case.
Yes. So it is October the 22nd, 1991.
Okay, so just keep that date in mind. Okay, so David Miscavige is sitting there in Washington, D.C., and he said this in October of 1991, and this ruling comes down. Now, everybody knows the famous story about David Miscavige going to see Fred Goldberg, right? Now, what is in Lawrence Wright's book and Alex Gibney's subsequent documentary, Lawrence Wright tells his audience that David Miscavige was frustrated and just decided to go see Fred Goldberg. They pitch it as if Miscavige went there just on a whim, out of the blue. Okay, no. I'm arguing that what it was is that Miscavige was told that there was this favorable ruling in Powell. And he knew that in a way he had the IRS cornered. Okay. And it's the Powell case that that's why Miscavige went to go see Fred Goldberg. And the reason why Fred Goldberg granted the impromptu meeting with Miscavige is because of the Powell case. Now, Mirjam, I emailed you an article by Douglas France, Frantz, called Scientology's Puzzling Journey from Tax Rebel to Tax Exempt. Is there any way we can get that article up on the screen?
Yes, it will just take a couple of minutes once again. Can you say again what it was called?
Scientology's Puzzling Journey from...
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I will be able to find it here.
So how's the weather up in Denmark while we're...
It's been a little bit cooler today, but quite warm actually.
Yeah, I was seeing on the news that Europe was going through a real bad heat wave.
Yeah, exceptionally warm in Denmark. So, but it's okay now. It's okay now. And Washington, that's it's hot there as well.
Yeah,
Virginia, you said you were in.
Yeah, it is. And then, okay, great. So there's Douglas France's article. Now, if you could you please scroll down to page 10?
Yes. How far are we now?
I think I can't tell. The numbers are on the bottom right of the page. You know what? Scroll down one by one until you see a little green highlight.
Yeah, I can only, it's actually uploaded as slides, so I can see we're now on 9 and 10.
There.
And yes, and I will need to go and open it on my separately here so I can read it because it's so small text. Yes.
Okay. Well, I can read it. You want me to read it real quick?
Yes. Yes, please.
The church version of what followed is quite remarkable. Mr. Miscavige and Marty Rathbun, another church official, were walking past the IRS building in Washington with a few hours to spare one afternoon in late October 1991 when they decided to talk to Mr. Goldberg. Okay, that is the closest I could get to the exact date of when did Miscavige go see Fred Goldberg. Okay. Now, let me let the audience know that the author of this article is a man named Douglas France. He worked for the New York Times, and then he actually went. Anyway, he went on to be the head of public affairs for the U.S. State Department. Fine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was able to get a hold of Douglas France probably in 2023. He and his wife have retired to Nova Scotia, which they publicly acknowledged. And I was able to track down a telephone number for him. It's kind of interesting how I did it. But anyway, I spoke with him on the phone, right? And I asked him about this article. He's retired. And I asked him, do you have any research material from this article? And he said, no, it's all gone. He threw it away. But I asked him, why did you write in late October 91? And he said, I don't know. He said, but I do know for a fact that if I wrote something that specific, I would have had a direct source on this. Okay, so Miscavige goes to see Fred Goldberg in late October of 91. What was the date of the Powell case?
The 20th, did I say the 22nd of October? Yes.
Exactly. All right. Do you see that the dates match?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, there is an outstanding legal article written by a lawyer named Kent Royalty and a lady, CPA named Diana Ross. Yes, that's really her name. And they were both professors at St. Mary's College or University in Texas. They published an article. It's source number 6 on my website. They published the article in 2005 analyzing the Hernandez ruling. And if anybody's interested and want to see other people that are saying what I'm saying, I would highly recommend reading that article. In fact, you know what, Mirjam, I sent you that article. Is there any way we can bring that up?
Yes, it will just, again, take a couple of minutes. Okay.
So Audit, how are things in LA while we're waiting?
Very, very hot. It's been sizzling. So,
God.
yeah, heat wave.
How's
But-
Laura?
She's doing good. She just recently moved and she's loving it. She's kind of living a little bit of the country life with chickens and
Moved
kitties and
out of the city?
Yeah, like a little, not too far, but I don't think, but yeah, a little bit. And you know, a lot of it because of the fair gaming and you know, a lot of it I'm interested in knowing going forward too. If you're going to look at how they're claiming that fair gaming is their religious right. And
Are they really claiming that?
yeah, that's what I hear. I wasn't at the court case, but I hear in
What court case? That sounds interesting to me. What court case?
yeah, the Leah Remini. That's just what I'm hearing. I haven't had a chance to really look into it, but I believe I believe it was today. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like I
Yes,
said,
it
I
was
don't know.
today.
Okay, and I hear
Yeah.
that they're claiming. I've heard them claim that before, you know, and that it's part of their First Amendment right, part of their religion to fair game. So I would think that would be absolutely. So that's why I'm interested in your public policy. Like my brain's always trying to work on next steps. So I'm definitely going to go to your website and dig up the public policy part of it, because and then hopefully in the future we could talk more about that.
Yeah, but I mean, fair game is a policy of harassing and intimidating people.
Yeah, destroy by any means necessary. That's
I mean,
fair game.
You can't conduct criminal activity and try and claim it as religious freedom. I mean, no. If I were to say, you know, it's my religion to go steal cars, I'm going to end up in prison. Anyway, if you could scroll down to page 11.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know all the wording. I'm not up to date. It's just that's what I was hearing, and I'm like, I hope that's not true. But if it is, that you know, it's going to be crazy. So, and they're suing the city too. They're having a lot of what I consider frivolous lawsuits, just trying to wear out the city. So there's a lot to talk about in the future. But I think your work is so helpful. I've always been, I guess it's going on at 2 years now. I always find it interesting and fascinating, a lot to digest. And it's like every time you speak, I'm learning new things, because a lot of times like things will just, and it probably a lot of other people feel the same way. It may go right over our head. It's just, but then as you digest some of it, then, okay, we got that. Now we're here. Now we're chewing the other aspects. So little by little, as you keep speaking, we're going to get it, because it's so important to get. I believe your work is crucial.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. You know, and it took me I'm just saying it took me 2 years to compile the 51 sources that are on my website, because, well, it did. And the whole point of the way I structured the website, especially with the presentation of evidence video, it's so that people can learn at home at their own pace, right? You listen to, like, I pull out like source number 7, go to page 31, read this paragraph. And people can do that, and they can fact check me, and they can hit the pause button and say, okay, hold on a second. Let me read this and make sure I'm agreeing with this guy. All right. Yeah, this backs up what he was saying, and these dates do connect with that one, you know. But anyway, okay, so this is the Royalty Ross legal article, which if people take nothing else away and want something, if you want homework, I guess that's the word, Source number 6 on my website. Strongly recommend you read this one. But if someone could read the highlighted paragraph that starts with, "It may be inferred."
Yes. It may be inferred that the IRS was concerned about losing the Powell case and being forced into the politically unpopular position of denying deductions for fixed payments made by members of religions with longer histories.
Okay, see, there it is. Powell and Garrison is how Scientology was going to prove the administrative inconsistency that Justice O'Connor warned about on the IRS. Again, if Scientology proved that on the IRS, then the courts would have ordered the IRS to get in compliance with Powell. The IRS would have to deny the deductibility of LDS Mormon tithing, I believe Jewish temple dues, even though Justice O'Connor talked about high holy day tickets. They would have to deny the deductibility of Catholic mass stipends. And this would have angered a lot of people. I mean, I think last I checked, I think over 20% of the United States are Catholic, which is great. And this would have caused a lot of, well, as you read, politically unpopular behavior.
Mm.
Okay. So, right. So Powell, that they're talking about, the Powell case, 22nd of October, 1991, presto, late October of 1991, David Miscavige goes to the IRS and says, "I want to speak with the commissioner of the IRS," and unbelievably gets the meeting, right? And look, the fact that someone, very few people can demand and receive a meeting with the head of a U.S. government agency. I mean, period.
Mm-hmm.
The end. Right. David Miscavige demanding a meeting with the head of the IRS makes as much sense as you and I demanding a meeting with the head of the IRS. I mean, really. So the fact that he was given this meeting indicates that something's way off the line. And there it is. The IRS was worried about losing Powell. So, okay, what happened? So Miscavige and Goldberg have the meeting. And we know this because in the closing agreement between Scientology and the IRS, which leaked in 1997 to the New York Times, in that closing agreement, the IRS wrote that members of the Church of Scientology in October of 91 approached the IRS, or the service that they called it, and so they admitted that this meeting took place. Now, Marty Rathbun said that he was at this meeting, and he recounted what Fred Goldberg said at this meeting. But as I said earlier, I don't trust anything that Marty Rathbun says ever. Mm. He's just out of the picture for me. So was Marty Rathbun at the meeting with Goldberg? Maybe, but equally maybe not. But yeah,
I understood that Marty Rathbun was more kind of a bulldog for David Miscavige, not the mastermind behind anything.
And I just question whether or not Rathbun was at this meeting. I want to believe that he actually wasn't. He might have been waiting in the lobby or something, but he wasn't there, because what Miscavige said to Goldberg was, if you give us tax exemption, we'll drop all of our lawsuits. Every last one of them, something to that effect. And I believe, and I just know in my heart, that these two men, Goldberg and Miscavige, were talking to each other between the lines. Goldberg knew about Powell and Garrison. Miscavige knew about Powell and Garrison. They both knew about Hernandez. They both knew what was coming down the pipe. And Goldberg capitulated and said, okay. And so Goldberg set up a committee, a special committee to review Scientology's tax exemption. I can go into further detail, but it was headed up by a man named Howard Schoenfeld. And sure enough, in 1993, Schoenfeld went to something called the Exempt Organization Technical Division, which is the actual office at the IRS who has the authority to grant tax exemption. It's another piece of misinformation out there. that the special committee had the authority to grant the exemption. They didn't. This special committee was just some ad hoc committee. It was like a group of 5 people that met in a conference room for 2 years with church officials like Rathbun, like Rinder, but the special committee never had any authority. And this is mentioned in the France article. And remember, I spoke with France. Anyway, so after 2 years, Fred Goldberg goes to the exempt organization technical division and speaks with 2 people, Donna Moore and Terrell Burkowski, or something like that, and says to them, grant Scientology tax exemption. And what's his name? Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld told Donna Moore and Terrell Burkowski to ignore the commercial nature of Scientology. He said, ignore it. He said, don't worry. Special committee already sorted this out. They may look like a commercial enterprise, but don't worry about that. Grant them tax exemption. And Donna Moore and Terrell Burkowski actually wrote memos to the IRS saying, Mr. Schoenfeld is telling us to do something that's not protocol, granting the Scientology group tax exemption. Okay. And then they granted them the exemption. So another thing, this is in the France article, is the actual people who stamped Scientology tax exempt wrote memos saying, we're not supposed to be doing this. This isn't the way the IRS does business. Mr. Schoenfeld's telling us to do it this way, and then they did it. So that's another thing that's, I'll just say this to the audience. I know that I'm throwing out like a lot of pieces to the puzzle. It's like, wow, that sounds bad. That doesn't look good. I put the whole piece together on my website. All right, I'll stop there for questions and comments.
Well, can I ask, so the bottom, if we want it at its simplest form, is that it's not that they were bullied. The IRS was not bullied into it, but they saw the writing on the wall, and they just felt the simplest way out of their situation would just be to grant them this status rather than to just let it go forward. And so it's not that they were scared of Scientology. They were more scared of like the myriad of lawsuits that would have occurred going back for how long with the other 2 faiths that were getting these exemptions. Is that a good way to sum it up?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the IRS decided to give Scientology tax exemption just to shut them up about the Hernandez ruling. Yeah, and you said 2 faiths. It's not. It's multiple. There's more Latter-day Saint, Jewish, Catholic, and others. But so it's a lot of religions that have these quid pro quo transactions. Let me just say something else. I said this with Aaron. Anyway, let me just say this. There's a rumor out there that there were amendments to the 1993 tax code that rendered Hernandez void. But that argument was entered into a lawsuit called Sklar v. Commissioner. And 3 federal judges in the Sklar case said no, that the amendments to the 1993 amendments to the tax code did not render Hernandez moot, and Hernandez is still good law as to this day. I'm sorry, I just wanted to quickly close the loop on that. Go ahead.
No, that's interesting. So Sklar, because that's what I was reading last night, is the one that, so it kind of brings life back to Hernandez. So something for going forward, because I would love your take on where to go next before we bring Mona on, is like, so that's like a window of opportunity that we have Sklar saying, no, Hernandez is still good law.
Yes. And by the way, just, I know that we're pressed for time, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Sklar v. Commissioner, 12th of December, 2008, on my website. The Scientology's tax exemption was entered as evidence in that lawsuit. And 3 federal judges wrote that Scientology's tax exemption is unconstitutional and unlawful. Okay. So, if people are looking for ammunition to take down Scientology's tax exemption, it's already been reviewed by federal judges. And one of the judges, her name is Wardlaw. She's a federal judge. She's still a federal judge out in California. And I saw an article, it's not on my website, I can probably email it to you guys, where Justice Wardlaw just chewed out the lawyer representing the IRS about Scientology's tax exemption, saying there's no way this is lawful. So that's another thing to put out to the audience.
I would like that. And just a personal question. How involved was Kendrick Moxon? He's like the nemesis for me right now, but involved in these cases. Did he have a big part in any of these big cases, or is he like another, where they just kind of bloat him up, but he's not really that big of a deal when it comes to these Supreme Court cases?
I don't remember. Simply put, I've heard the name Kendrick Moxon. I know he's a lawyer. I know he's a Scientologist. But the legal powerhouse for Scientology is Monique Yingling. Real quick. Let me ask: is there any way that you can bring up Google?
I think I can bring up browser here.
All right, because if you can, and I feel like I've just blathered on and on for too long, but there's something I wanted to show everybody. Number one, in the Royalty Ross article, and then I wanted to show people, I think it's really worth seeing this for yourself on Google. So actually, if possible, can we bring up the Royalty Ross article again and then bring up Google?
Yes. What do you want me to Google? I will just bring up the article here first.
Okay. Okay, so there's the article. What page? Okay, page 10. That's exactly where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the paragraph that starts with the word surprisingly, and I think I can make it out. I can probably get my own copy. Can anybody read that?
Sorry, which page did you say? 12?
No,
where you're at, right
page
there.
10 with the word that says surprisingly, the paragraph that says the word surprisingly.
Okay. Surprisingly, the saga was about to take an unexpected turn. And you want me to continue?
Yeah, the whole paragraph.
Okay. Not only did the IRS not attempt to extend the Hernandez decision to other religions, it confused matters by in effect overturning the Supreme Court Hernandez decision in 1993 with revenue ruling 93-73. This revenue ruling allowed the deduction of the very payments the Supreme Court had refused.
Okay, so when I say that the IRS is willfully violating a Supreme Court ruling, it's like, well, how did they do that? How did they violate the ruling? And there it is. It's revenue ruling 93-73. That is the mechanism by which the IRS violated a Supreme Court ruling. Now, I'll just tell you real quick, revenue ruling 93-70. Well, you know what? Why don't I show you revenue ruling 93-73? And that's what, if you could bring up Google, that'd be great. And if you could just search IRS exempt organization revenue rulings.
IRS exempt organization revenue rulings.
Mm-hmm. If you can Google that and then just click the page.
Mm-hmm. I will bring it up. Just a moment. There we go. Can you see it?
I cannot.
Hold on a second. Okay,
it's coming up blurry. Oh, there we go. IRS exempt organization revenue rulings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you scroll down until we get to the web page?
Yes.
Okay, wait. There we go.
This
you can click that,
mm-hmm.
and then when it loads, if you could just so there you go. Just real quick, there it is. IRS exempt organization revenue rulings. And if you would please, let's just take a look at revenue ruling 93-73. If you could scroll down to 1993 and just hit the drop down arrow, that'd be great.
Okay, so
No, just scroll down. Oh, well, you could do that way too.
okay. Yeah, I just
What does it read?
none available during this period.
Right. I would just like the audience to know that the mechanism by which the IRS violated a Supreme Court ruling is also missing from the IRS's webpage. It's not where it's supposed to be. Let me just tell you a few more things that you might find a bit bothersome, because I know I do. Right. We can do this right now if you want, or the audience can do it at home. But Justice O'Connor, in the Hernandez ruling, cited 3 other revenue rulings. Revenue ruling 78-366, revenue ruling 68-432, and one that I'm missing. Give me 1 minute. I've got to find this for you. I'm sorry.
Maybe the mods can type those numbers in or something. We can take a screenshot because I would definitely like to look into this.
Yeah,
Because
what
it
you
sounds
could
just
what you could do for us, because we are a little bit time pressured, is that if you send me an email with all the references, we can then put it in the description of the video so people can go and look up themselves, and we don't need to.
Okay. Let me
use
just
the time
say
on
it
it
real
now.
quick. Let me just say it real quick. You've got revenue ruling 93-73, revenue ruling 78-366, 78-366, and then revenue ruling 68-432, and then revenue ruling 70-47. Yeah, so 78, 68, and 70. I said that so poorly, was cited by Justice O'Connor in her dissent in the Hernandez ruling, not revenue ruling 93-73. Those revenue rulings are also completely missing from the IRS's website. Okay, so there are a total of 4 exempt organization revenue rulings surrounding this issue of the deductibility of quid pro quo transactions that are missing from the IRS's website. That was like a big fandango moment and like a ding dong. I relate it poorly.
no. So what you're saying, just so I can clarify, is that they're hiding something, right? That these things are out there, this information's out there, but for some reason it's not where it needs to be if you want to do your own search. Like you have to kind of hunt and peck for them, is what you're saying. It should be right on their website.
Well, right. What I'm saying is that these revenue rulings 93-73, 78-366, 68-432, and 70-47 are not where they're supposed to be. And that's really, really not good. I don't want to use a very ugly word, but especially
Red flag?
What's that?
It's a red
Go
flag.
ahead.
Yeah,
well, revenue ruling 93-73 appears to be an unlawful act by the IRS, and it's not where it's supposed to be on the IRS's website. By the way, revenue ruling 93-73, it obsoleted revenue ruling 78-189. Revenue ruling 78-189 is on the IRS's webpage. It's the only one that's where it's supposed to be, and it has to do with Scientology. If you guys want to look it up, I think I've kind of, I think I'm done, I guess. Yeah, I finally got to the point where I said that the IRS granted Scientology tax exemption just to shut them up about Hernandez, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
Could we have to pop up some questions? Like, are you up to a couple of questions before we bring on Mona? Would that be okay?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, let's do that.
I'm not watching chat. Sorry, chat. Whatever's going on, but I know.
Yeah, thank you for everyone being here right now live and also on the replay crew. It's maybe easier to watch this on replay. You can pause. You can look things up and digest it.
While she's pulling that up, I love. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kelly is asking if what you say is true, Jason, and I believe it is. Then why is that the IRS does not launch an investigation into Scientology?
Okay, for two reasons. It's a great question. First of all, people say the IRS needs to revisit Scientology's tax exemption far too easily. What is not in the conversation is something called the Church Audit Procedures Act of 1983, otherwise known as CAPA. And according to CAPA, the IRS has 2 years to audit a religion, and then the audit must stop. And then they cannot audit that religion for another 5 years. Now, the review of Scientology to get its tax exemption started in October of 91, and it concluded October the 1st, 1993. That's 2 years. That's why the review took 2 years, because of CAPA. The audience can verify this by simply doing a Google search. How much time does the IRS have to audit a religion? And Google will tell you 2 years. That's reason number one. So why? And the other reason why the IRS does not launch an investigation, I personally believe, is because the IRS is well aware that Scientology knows about Hernandez. Okay, this cornering the IRS, this unlawful bargain that they made is still in effect. If the IRS in any way goes after Scientology, Scientology can prove Hernandez on the IRS, and they can prove that the IRS unconstitutionally and unlawfully granted Scientology tax exemption. So I think those are the two main reasons why the IRS stays away from Scientology.
Okay, and then there's a question from Andre. I think I'm not even smart enough to understand this question, but I'll just read it to you. Let's say a Catholic person files tax exemption for the exact same line item as a Scientologist was granted exemption, but Catholic gets denied. What are your thoughts on standing of SCOTUS ruling? So this is Hebrew to me, I would say. I don't understand the question, but
I just don't understand that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The SCOTUS ruling was on the deductibility of quid pro quo transactions from people's taxes. It had nothing to do with religious tax exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay, Andre, if you want to reformulate your question, then we can bring it up later on. Let me see here, the next one. Can they parse out percentage of price in some donations like other fundraisers? I'm guessing this is more like an accounting question, how they are recording the income.
Yeah, that's true. There's something called fair market value. So yeah, exactly. Like how like charities they'll sell hot dogs for charity, and let's just say normally a hot dog will cost you $10. Okay, but you give the charity $100 and they give you a hot dog, right? You what you really donated was $90, and that's what you can deduct from your taxes. Yeah, I don't know. Does that? I hope that answers your question.
And Marie is asking if Scientology nonprofit has been charged with any criminal acts, are they still allowed to get nonprofits?
No. If well, charged, I guess, and I'm not a lawyer, but okay, charged is not good. But if they get convicted of criminal acts, I mean, no, a criminal organization does not qualify for tax exemption. I mean, remember, Bob Jones University refused to desegregate in 1970, and they were found in violation of well-established public policy, and they had their tax exemption rescinded.
As they should have been as well.
It's like a nice RICO conviction would be a great way to overturn it.
Yeah, or if people out there are able to somehow, because I have tried, not successfully, to relay to law enforcement that 3 federal judges have already concluded that their tax exemption is unconstitutional and unlawful. Sklar v. Commissioner, 12th of December, 2008.
Yeah, and I just wanted to put your page there for one moment in case anyone jumped in the middle. I just want to do this. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you encourage everyone to go and see.
Oh yeah, I do. Sorry, we're still getting the rhythm of this. Yeah, I encourage everyone to really look into it, and there may be different levels of interest and how much you want to dig into it. But it's really interesting, and I feel it's very much going to be a big part of the future and what we need to do. Like, because everyone's saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of their tax exemption," and that's a great saying, but how? And we need to know these laws. He's done, like Jason, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your attention to detail and your memory. It's like it's envious, and like I envy it, like how the details. So I really appreciate it. So we need to start getting our vocabulary and our understanding to wrap around this information and take it seriously. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. So as we start, because we get in the lingo so far of a lot of different things, but once we start getting this lingo and start understanding it, then we can formulate plans. And I know Mona's going to come on. She's going to talk more about that. But this is really important stuff. This is not just, something to just listen to one time. It's like, we need to really understand this. So I appreciate it, Jason. I hope you come on again, because I would really like to talk more about this. I believe it's really critical and crucial information. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thank you guys for platforming me. Let me just say something real quick. Aaron asked me, how do we do something? He used the term rubber hits the road. Look, let me say something at the expense of sounding corny, but I'm sure everybody's heard of Watergate, right? One of the interesting things about Watergate is that was a crime that was being exposed to the American people by the media, the Washington Post. And every week or whatever it was, people were buying the Post to learn about this crime in progress, the cover up of the break-in. And I even know a retired FBI agent, he's now in his 80s. And he said to me that the FBI was actually purchasing the Washington Post because they wanted to learn about the crime in progress. They considered it part of their investigation. So there's been at least one example where the media alerted the general public and law enforcement, like, hey, there's something illegal going on over here. So if people out there, it's like, well, what can we do about it? Okay, you got to get the word out. It's sending this link to friends and family, people that find things interesting. You can send it to true crime podcasters. Obviously, the big journalist that covers Scientology is Tony Ortega. I've sent him multiple emails. I never hear back. I think he just thinks I'm a crackpot, which is fine.
I think before we go on, I would like to bring Mona on now. Because,
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a rambler. Go ahead.
No. It's okay.
I
am
too, so it's okay.
Yeah. And of course, we want you to stay, but I just want to introduce Mona in case someone doesn't know Mona, also known as FatGrammy on YouTube already. She is the other most action-orientated anti-Scientology abuse activist that I know, on top of audit. And that's why we wanted to have Mona here today. Welcome.
Mona.
And you're muted. Just to let you know, we wanted you to come in because...
hey, I'm playing Nora, doing technical difficulties.
Yes.
And excuse the mess. I'm in the middle of trying to get ready to move. So,
yeah.
Oh,
so Jason has done so much research, and now we have the really action-orientated people here around the same table.
And I would really love, I know we're pressed for time, but Jason's not giving himself the credit that he truly deserves, because he's not even part of the Scientology movement or anti-Scientology movement. He was part of I am a naval officer trying to do my duty as an American citizen and as an American patriot, and was fighting against the IRS for the IRS's illegal activities. And all of a sudden, when Audit and I have been for years now, and you, Miriam, is that we've been trying to find out what illicit activities Scientology's been doing. And we kept banging our head against the wall going, what the hell? Why is this so hard? It's obvious they're having illegal activities and violating fundamental public policy. And then, of course, Jason was dropped down by God as an answer. And he has a website full of facts. It's not opinions, it's facts. It's history, there's facts. I've read through every single one of them, plus the other cases. It's as boring as it may sound and as nerdy as it may sound, has a lot of good information in it. The 84 versus Scientology, that case was fabulous when they said, what the hell do they even have? It wasn't even about Scientology. And the judges were like, why does Scientology, they're an abusive organization. They brainwash people. Those were exact words in that suit. That's the opinion of the judges in there.
Well, and hold on. Mona, can I just correct you real quick? That wasn't the opinion of the judges. What you're referring to was a 1980 IRS memo that the IRS attached to its own lawsuit. So that's the IRS saying brainwashing, disconnect policy, fair game policy, all violations of well-established public policy.
Yep, exactly. And so looking through all of that, I took some notes. I wanted to give Jason credit because he has just been fabulous at this, and he is 100% right. Right now, public opinion, the court of public opinion, and what I'm going to discuss in a few minutes are two ways that we can take next steps. But the court of public opinion is huge. I completely agree with that. Because it's facts. It's not rumors. We're not giving opinions. We're not saying, oh, this is how we believe. This is just what happened. So we need to take that the next step. What truths has Miscavige made up? He made up this narrative of, oh, I just stopped by Goldberg's office, happened to be walking by and boop, got it. You did not. You did not. You don't just walk into a commissioner's office and say, hey, I want to meet with you. I don't care if you're, Netanyahu. You just don't do that. That just doesn't happen. So they're just covering up more of their crimes, more of their shenanigans. The Hernandez decision with Powell and Garrison behind it, 100% facts. 100% that the IRS is trying to not have to appease the Hernandez decision. And so what are we looking at? Where can we go? Are we ever going to make the IRS? Remember when I put up that letter of to the Department of Justice investigative unit, their in-house unit, and I had people write to it, and still nothing, crickets, not hearing a thing. So how do we push the IRS to do something about this? Because it's going to cause a lot of pain. So there's only two ways to go about it. And of course, the public opinion and
so you mean the public outrage, and pressure.
Yep. Public outrage and pressure and forcing a remand. So, yes, there's a difference between religion and 501c3. Not all religions are 501c3s and not all 501c3s are religions. A religion, in truth, doesn't even file a tax return. If you're a religion because if you say you're a religion, you are a religion. The Hells Angels is a religion. The Church of the Spaghetti Monster is a religion. I mean, there's all sorts of religions. It's just whether or not they have the additional benefits of the 501c3. The 501c3 status lets people write things off. It lets them purchase property and not pay capital gains. There's other benefits that go along with having a 501c3 status. So that's why they want to keep it, because they were still a religion after it was taken away in 67, 69. They were still a religion. They still had religious status. They just couldn't purchase buildings and assets and all the property under the 501c3 benefits. So that's what they're trying to really hold. And we know how many buildings and properties and assets that they have, that if they were to sell them, they would have to pay capital gains, right? On whatever profits that they had. But as a 501c3, they don't have to. So those capital gains are, they don't want to put that into place at all. There's two, the Bob Jones University, and then the Prince versus Massachusetts. Excuse my sis being in the back there. I got a crew.
No,
here.
it was funny. She was trying to be very, yeah.
But the Prince versus Massachusetts was a Supreme Court decision a long time ago. I think it was even in the 50s, that specifically says that a religion, no matter if it's a religion or a 501c3, still can't do unlawful activities. I mean, you can profess, and I use this analogy all the time, you can profess all the time that you believe in, your belief in your religion is to be a vampire or a person eater. What do you call them?
Cannibal.
Cannibal, thank you. You can believe in cannibalism, but you're not allowed to go and kill people and eat them. That's against the law. But you can believe in it. You can believe in it all you want. But you can't disobey the law under the standing of religion just because it's a religious belief. Doesn't matter what your doctrine says. So the fair game policy, the disconnection policy, the abusing of children, you can't tell the police, just all of that. Those are just the simple ones. They are illegal activities done under the name of religion. And Prince versus Massachusetts already takes care of that. We already have a Supreme Court ruling. So not only are they disobeying the Hernandez decision, but they're disobeying Prince versus Massachusetts. So there's two Supreme Court decisions that they are 100% disobeying. And why is Congress doing that? Because they don't want the other fight. They don't want the fight of the masses of, we know that you can't have your child go to Christian school or any school for that matter and write it off on your taxes. Doesn't happen. But you can have auditing and you can have your school for your Scientology children and write it off. That's a thing. So it's completely unfair. It's not balanced and it needs to change. But the only way you're going to change it because of that having to fight the masses, and I don't mean Catholic masses, you know what I mean, the groups, the different religions, about taking away what they get to write off is through public opinion, the court of public opinion, or fighting for a remand. Now, fighting for a remand means we go back to the federal courts. And when I say we, I really mean somebody else because I don't have standing, and I'll discuss standing in just a minute. But going back to the federal courts saying this is what's happened, this is what needs to be done, and we're asking you, the federal courts, to remand it back to be relooked at and redecided on. And you're not going against, you're not saying Scientology is a bunch of dirtbags, because Scientologists aren't dirtbags. Scientology is. But you're not going against Scientology. You're not suing Scientology. You are asking the courts to remand it back to be relooked at because a bad decision was made. So that's what we need to do, is we need to ask the federal courts. Now, I have talked with a few people that are possibly able to do that, but you have to have standing in our USA system. You have to have standing, meaning you have to have been injured. And I obviously am not an ex-Scientologist. I have nothing to do with Scientology. I have a nonprofit, but I don't have one that's tried to write anything off. So we need either a nonprofit that hasn't been able to write stuff off, or a person that has suffered an injury that has standing, or else it gets thrown out just on face value. So you have to have somebody that could file. And Joe and I have it all written. We've been writing this for a while. We have everything ready, but we can't just go in. You can't generalize in a lawsuit in our federal system. You can't say, well, this is what's happening, and in general, it's hurting people, and a lot of people are being abused, and that just doesn't happen. You have to be the person that has and holds the injury in order to bring the suit forth. So that's one thing that we're looking for, is somebody that is willing to be the person in standing, or the organization in standing. I have talked with one person, as I said, and they are willing to do it. However, their lives are so busy right now, I don't know that they would be able to. And, maybe it's a group. Maybe it's, that's right, Kathy, no victim, no crime. So you have to have a person that holds standing in our federal judicial system. Does that, am I making sense? Do you guys understand that? Or
Absolutely. No,
Yes.
exactly. And then, right, you can explain that we've worked hard on it, and we've tried to look at every single avenue, because you and I are willing to go and do it, but we just don't have standing. So basically it's a help wanted sign, right? As an advertisement to say, we're looking for anyone that would like to join, this case, and look at it and see if they're even be willing, or if they qualify as having standing, because that's what it's going to take. But thank you for explaining. You explained it well.
I don't mind doing the legwork, the arm work, the typing. I'm more than
Jason,
happy to
did you
help
have? Jason, did you have something? You were.
I did. I just have one thing I kind of wanted to say. It's not relevant to anything that's being discussed, but I just wanted to be given like one more time at the wheel right before the end. So just putting that out there.
Okay. Yes.
But not now. Please finish your thought.
Okay. But doing your research, have you been trying to find a solution how to take this further? Have you researched any different avenues?
Absolutely. I've looked at looking at it from the angle of an ex-Scientologist that's been wronged. I've looked at it as different religious groups that aren't able to write things off in that way. I've looked at it as other nonprofits that have been denied getting to write off, whether they're religious or not, whether they can write off. That's why when you go to a church or you go to a nonprofit and they say on their advertisements, here's the book, Learning How to Love Yourself, and it's available for the donation of, knock it off, sorry, for the donation of, because you're not purchasing the book, you're donating and happening to get a book.
No, that's literally a contradiction in terms.
I understand that, but that's how they get around it. That's how they advertise it. That's not how, the IRS looks at it or should look at it. But that's how when they say you can purchase this book for the donation of, that's what they're getting around, is the quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never fails, you guys.
Okay. But so what we need, and even we could find, even if we found, say, several, what if we got 3 different, would they entities or agencies that would want to do this, or people, would they would they each do their separate case, or would they all conjoin on one? Like, how do you see where we can go forward? Because we put a lot of work and effort, especially you, Mona. I mean, people don't realize how much work Mona puts in behind the scenes. She's an incredible worker as well, and she takes the time to, like, digest everything, and really, so I appreciate you too, Mona. But how do you see it going forward? What would be your ideal happening for it? Because, so the people really understand, because they can maybe get thinking and say, oh, I know someone who might be willing, or they may be willing, but what exactly are we looking for? If you could break it down and how it would work and how you see it.
So what we're really looking for is somebody that could have standing, that we can bring this to a federal court, that it could be remanded back, and it's not going to be a 5-minute operation. This could take a couple of years. It's definitely a large undertaking, but it can be done. Other than that, the public opinion court is our really our only options, or the only other thing is waiting them out, waiting for them to, they're slowly dwindling through attrition. So, they're going to be eventually gone anyways, because nobody's joining them, and they're a bunch of, but
not to, I mean, they're not joining here in America, but it does seem like they are getting numbers and getting people to join in other countries. I know right now in Africa, I believe it's Taiwan, they are getting more people. So I think it is important that we really move forward, take it seriously, and not just wait for the attrition here in the United States. And just my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can
be joking that they're all going to move to Copenhagen.
Yeah, I don't want them in Copenhagen, but right now the focus of Scientology is so much invested on the children, and the 3 of us, we all know a lot of people that have grown up, spent their childhood in Scientology, and the trauma and the abuse that you have to carry for the rest of your life. I would not hope anyone to have to go through that anymore. So I don't feel like I want to wait it out, but we need to reach out. Then is there something, have you been planning anything? Is there something we could approach, for example, some organizations? We could prepare some kind of documentation, give an example, and say, hey, would you be interested in joining this effort?
Yeah, I wouldn't really put it out what we've already written in mass right now. But if somebody were interested in possibly having standing or possibly going through this, I'd be more than happy to share, give. You guys know my name. One of my main sayings is, it's amazing what can be accomplished if you don't worry about who gets the credit. I don't care who does it. I'd be more than happy to help somebody do it. I don't need my name on it. My name's not going to be on it. That's only not because I wouldn't really want it to, but because I don't have standing. So it doesn't matter if my name's on it. But I'd be more than happy to help somebody else that does have standing. But that's what we need, is somebody with standing. And if they think they may have standing, I'd be more than happy to share anything and everything that we already have written up to get the ball rolling.
So that's our homework assignment. Speaking of homework, is the 2-pronged thing, right? We need to get the public outcry, get that ball rolling with the public opinion, and then we need to find people with standing. So if we have all these smart, intelligent, wonderful people out there, watching, who are very invested in this. And so if we all put our collective brains together, hopefully we will find people with standing, and then we can take next steps there. And in the meantime, maybe we can discuss more about what we can do for the public opinion part, and this, and keep that as an ongoing conversation, because I believe they're both equally important. Well, I think the lawsuit would be the most important if we can get standing, because even at the very minimum, it's getting something on record. Whatever they decide, it's getting it on the record. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
See if they contradict themselves, and then, because if they do contradict themselves, then, it's just another way to go.
Yeah. So please, if you're interested in contributing, or you have some ideas, look into Jason's research on his website, and
reach out. If I may,
Mm-hmm.
I think right now we have 28. It says top messages 28. I don't know how many people are there. Anyway, if I could ask
around 60. Around 60.
60. Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh wow. Well, if I could just ask people to just email this link to anyone and everyone. I think I've mentioned Tony Ortega in the past. If people want to just bump, and he's got a website listed on his website, Underground Bunker.
Mm-hmm.
Is to send it to him. You could send it to Alex Gibney's company, Jigsaw Productions, and it's I guess it's like the snowball effect for me. The more times people keep hearing my name and so forth, and everyone's name.
Mm.
It's like eventually people are going to be like, hey, what's this? Why do I keep hearing it?
Yeah,
that's a great point. Yeah, we need to get it out there. We need to, because a lot of people do ask, well, what can we do? We need to get the tax exemption. And like, I know right now we're laying groundwork, locally and stuff, but as that starts, where they're getting to a real understanding, we do need the tax exemption really is the crucial thing that would change everything. Because if they lost that, well, it would basically end their, I want to say reign of terror, whatever, almost immediately. And so it's very important.
It's not going to take away that they are a religion, because as I said, the Hells Angels is a religion. There's the Flying Spaghetti Monsters is a religion.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of religions.
Yeah.
But it certainly gives them, it gives the area to where they can't hide it in property and assets and hide their money into those areas.
It'll take the wind out of their sails. There'll still be a religion, but it would take the teeth out of the lion, so to speak. It would take away a lot of their ability to do what they do within local governments to take over. So, because we don't ever hear the spaghetti monsters, whatever they believe in, they're not infiltrating and have tentacles around our local governments and our federal government and all these things. So, it's an excellent point, but we need to get this. And we know they're watching, they watch all this stuff. So it'd be interesting. But,
hi, Osa.
Hi, Osa. Yes, we're going to continue.
Yes. And I believe it's a snowball effect, whether it will be actually some current victim of Scientology coming out, and making a huge flow of news and attention around Scientology, or it will be one of the ongoing lawsuits. It is inevitable, but we're just here to try and speed it up a little bit, right?
Yes. Make sure it happens.
Yes.
But can we ask, Jason said you wanted to bring up a point?
Oh, yeah. Look, if you go to my website, at the very bottom, you'll see 3 thumbnails to John Oliver's television show. And
Let me share your page.
Yeah, it may look a little bit goofy, but what it is that in 2015, John Oliver successfully registered his comedy television show as a tax-exempt religion. And I wanted to bring that to the attention of the public. So it's like, you go to my website at the very bottom. It's like, wait, what's this? No, it's a legit thing. we're talking about tax exemption, we're talking about religions. It would appear that the IRS is granting tax exemption far too easily. If a comedian can register his comedy show, the amount, there's got to be tax evasion in the world of tax exempt organizations, a lot of it, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a quite a large YouTuber called Reckless Ben. He actually created a religion called Scientology Sucks, and he projected the Scientology Sucks on the wall of the Blue Building. It's a few years ago, so I'm familiar. Also, you can have any kind of name for your religion.
Yeah.
So just waiting for
there
it
it
to
is.
come up.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, we all need to get studying. I know Mona went through all of it because she's the one, when we first started dealing with this, like Mona was able to explain a lot to me too. Like Mona is extremely intelligent too. And, so anyone who, if they have questions about this stuff.
So this is the 47 cases you mentioned are here or listed.
Well, it's actually 51 sources. I talk about 47 in the videos in the presentation of evidence video because the last four, like one of them is Howard Schoenfeld's testimony or his deposition in a lawsuit called Tax Analyst v. Commissioner. Yep, there they go. There's the 3 links to John Oliver's so that people can see that Scientology's unlawful tax exemption is only one case of innumerable. And then, there's a list of there's a link to the IRS's list of tax exempt organizations. There's my email too. So if you have questions, by all means, email me. I'm very happy to speak with people.
Yeah. And check out, you have been in Growing Up in Scientology's channel. You have been in John Kiriakou's channel.
Yeah, John.
Is there anything, Kiriakou? I'm sorry, I mispronounced it.
No, it's great. We're used to it.
Is there something else also you have appeared on that you would like to plug in? So go and watch those interviews and share them. Also share this live both from mine and Audit LA's channel, and push the hype button. Apparently that's some kind of new feature that can push the algorithm a little bit more so we can spread the message about this
much
video.
apprecited.
Yes. So,
and on your channel too, you have a YouTube channel, right, that has some videos. Is that all on your website? It's the same videos?
The website, the videos at the top of my website are linked to my YouTube channel. So you can go to my YouTube channel from there, or you can go to YouTube and type in Jason Polychron. It's up to you.
And I learn something new every time I listen. So I'm glad I hope you keep, speaking out on it, because it is fascinating. And it's true what Mona said. You're doing this as a somebody serving your country and dealing with the IRS, and then stumbled into this world of Scientology.
I mean, it's true.
World.
My work history, my education history is with the government, but I really want to believe that I'm doing this primarily because it's the right thing to do, as everybody else is. And it's the old saying, evil prevails when good people fail to act. So that's my number one, above all else, motivation. Maybe my experience and my education history helped me a bit, with the research methodology, but this is all me. This is Jason Polychron, private citizen.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for joining us today and sharing this information. I would,
Email
I would
me.
definitely.
I want to do this again. And there is more to say. We've covered a lot, but there is more out there.
Well,
yes,
we would definitely love to have you back, right?
Absolutely. So we're going to be having, we're only on episode 3, but we started this podcast together specifically for this reason, so we can we can bring out the information in a concise way to the audience. And that's why I also want to limit the running time for, maximum couple of hours, so people's attention span is going to last through it. Also, there has been so much information today. I can see that there was some donated memberships. I want to thank everyone for donating memberships, and I think there was some kind of a gift, some kind of new YouTube feature that I'm not familiar with. But thank you so much for the support, and
thank you everyone. Yes, for the support.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you for
much.
having us.
Thank you, Mona, also for joining us. And we should definitely do this again.
And then we need to, whose channel are we promoting today?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have it here. One moment.
Every week we like to highlight a different channel, because there's so many people on, that are working on this, and, and so we always want to give a shout out to everyone, and to our mods, the chat. Sorry, when I'm on this, I'm still getting used to StreamYard, so I'm not following with the chat, but we appreciate everyone that's watching, coming, and contributing and interacting. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for the moderators and the whole audience who have been sitting through the past 2 hours with us, or if you're on a replay crew as well. And I'm not sure how much you're following what's happening in the activism world when it comes to anti-Scientology abuse, but we have a global community. We have people protesting in a lot of different locations all over the world. And today I wanted to promote our very dear friend and longtime supporter as well. Let me see when the screen is up. Can you see it yet? Seems to be a bit slow. Is it coming up?
Irish Smart.
Yes, I love Irish Smart. He's also one of my mods.
Yeah, mine too. So Irish Smart is located in Ireland. She's there protesting alone at the Dublin org, which is also very problematic. It's also a community center at the same time. So there's a lot of just the local community events, Irish dancing classes, and so forth at the Scientology church location. So they are renting it out for different kind of clubs. So it's very important that she is doing her protesting over there, and she was on a little bit of a break and just returned last week. So I wanted to highlight her channel. So please, everyone, go and subscribe to Irish Smart. Go and give her a like, and support her, because she is doing it all alone at the moment in Dublin. And get in touch with her if you want to also want to activate and you're in the Dublin area. So
she's amazing. I love Irish. Great accent. Glad she's back, and she's amazing. I know she's here listening, but we love our Irish.
Yes,
we love our Irish girl.
I feel like bringing her on the screen, but I think she would kill me.
She'd kill you.
You can take me down and put her up.
Come on, Iris. Come say hi. Don't be shy. She'll kill the both of us.
I think she's not going to be too happy about it. But thank you so much for everyone joining. Yeah, we love you. Yeah. Thank you to moderators. Thank to everyone in the chat. I appreciate all the comments and the questions. I will definitely go back and look at it later because we didn't have the time to bring up all the comments up today. And we will do this for sure soon again. Thank you so much, Jason and Mona, for joining us.
Thank you so much. And Jason.
So informative. Thank you
for having me.
No, thank you for we're a lot to digest and think about. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you hang up. You hang up.
We'll all see you next week. Everyone have a great day or evening wherever you are. Bye.
All right.
From complaints to permits to results. Join Audit and Miriam every Thursday. This is Double Degraded.
Welcome to Double Degraded with Audit LA and Miriam. trouble. Welcome